Welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles. I am Tots. I'm here with Donald, and joining us today is one of my favorite guests on the show in the comments, and that is Tony Clark. And we will be breaking down the Yankee and Orioles series. Let's talk some Yankee baseball. All right, welcome everybody to the Pitchlight Chronicles, brought to you by Northeast Streaming Sports, SportsWire Radio, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere else. So, Tony, you have had a lot of fun joining us in the comments section. So, I want to really welcome you onto the show itself. How are you feeling? How did you feel overall about the Orioles year today?
About the whole year, I've been ecstatic. I picked them to finish last. 57 wins maybe. So it's been amazing for me. 9 games below 500 at our low point, 10 games above 500 at our high point.
Yeah, when they hit the 500 mark, that's when a lot of people that may not have in the past given them any looks started looking a lot closer of what they were doing. Especially when you have a team that wasn't expected to do anything. When you're playing without the pressure of of having a championship team, you play a little more loose. You play with a little more confidence. So it was really remarkable to see how they were able to turn things around so quick.
Well, and the fact that we stayed above 500.
Yeah. So
wasn't a fluke at all.
No, I don't think
it's just like Texas and Farragut's a fluke.
No, I'm not calling it a fluke. It was when you looked in the beginning of the season, it was they it's not like they were picked to win the East. Neither were the Yankees. The Yankees, really played above their, above what they played above what we expected them to. So, by winning the division. Donald and I didn't think they were winning the division. So, sometimes teams exceed expectations, even if the results are what were expected.
Well, here's one of the things that's important. At this time last year, the Orioles had the same amount of runs scored than they did last year.
Wow.
So the difference has been the starting pitching and the bullpen.
Now the bullpen's been very good for you guys, especially with the offense starting to really find its identity. Having a solid bullpen, we can tell you that's the key to maintaining those leads that the offense puts up.
I don't know if you saw the interview with Judge a couple months ago. They interviewed Aaron Judge, and he said, "I absolutely don't want to face the Orioles bullpen."
Yep. Wow, that's a very strong statement from Judge, and he's probably right. You can't call you can't say that he was just kind of blowing smoke. So, what player this year has really stood out for you?
In the first half of the season, it was Austin Hayes. Almost made the All-Star team. He was doing fantastic. He disappeared. The second half of the season, it's been Bautista, our closer, and without a doubt, Anthony Santander.
Yeah. Even Nick agrees with you about Santander. So, what should baseball be paying attention to as far as the success of Ali Rutschman?
Oh, that dude. I've been trying to find a way to compare him to anybody. He's better than Mauer. He's better than Rick Dempsey. He's better than Piazza. I can't find a comparison as to how unique that this player is.
Yeah, the other thing is, in yesterday's game, he broke the doubles record that was set by Cal Ripken. So he's had a remarkable year.
It's been fantastic. I can't wait to see what he does through a full season.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, the Orioles are not a pushover team. They were just trying to find the players that they can call up that will blend well to put together a competitive season. And from what we saw this year, they're almost a lock for. I'm going to say that they're a lock for a wild card next year.
Yeah, I'd like to see 3 improvements. I'd like to see a starting pitcher, a right fielder, and a shortstop.
Okay. Yeah, the shortstop's that's a key position. You need a legitimate shortstop. Because we could use one. We survived. Well, we survived this year with a very subpar shortstop. But we should be getting our guys next year.
Of the season that you all need to get rid of IKF.
Yep. Yeah. If we get
apparently, according to John Heyman, the Yankees really like IKF. And are happy with him going into next year.
Well, that's going to be a mistake.
No matter how happy you are with IKF, mainly it's because, man, I don't know, maybe it's because of his DRS, but I think he's a horrible fielder. I really do.
He's horrible, horrifying. He's got no arm. He's got the range, but no arm, and he lets the ball play him instead of him playing the ball, which is like this rookie mistake, really. So back to the Orioles. Manager of the year has to be, right?
1,000%. I mean, there's rumblings about the Indians, but or Guardians, but I don't see how you can't give it to them.
Yeah, no, a very pleasant surprise this year, Spence. Not lying there, but no, when you have a manager like Hyde that can take a team of a lot of fresh faces, blend it in with guys that are have been here for a little bit, and pretty much play the way that they were playing, there was a really good camaraderie in that locker room, and that all starts with the manager.
It does, and the biggest key to that is, and you may not be familiar with this because you didn't follow the Orioles much this year, but they won.
I didn't even check the standings.
Their 10-game winning streak, they won 4 out of 5 games via the walk-off. They never quit.
Never quit.
No, to say that, I don't think any team quits, but when you have that kind of grind, that's just another push forward where the team feels confident in itself. And the players feel that they're never out of a game. The game is never out of hand. And when the younger the team is, the less, it goes to, when there's no pressure, you're constantly pushing the barrier. You constantly.
Where is there no pressure? What do you mean by there's no pressure?
Well, when I say no pressure on a team, there are teams that start the year where have the Yankees mentality where it's home runs or bust, World Series or bust. When you don't have that, where you just want to have a successful year by first goal that they have this finishing above 500, making yourself relevant. Then you make your postseason push. You go up the ladder a little bit. You go one rung at a time. So as you're going up each rung of the ladder, then you just build yourself that way, and you just play your brand of baseball.
Well, remember these guys are all playing for their futures and playing for future contract, playing because they don't know what's happening tomorrow. They have to play for everything they've got because they're young. A lot of them are young. There are a lot of them breaking through in the majors, so they have to fight. So I think there is an element of pressure. I think there's a pressure on the individual to achieve as best they can, because baseball's a competitive industry. There's always someone behind you looking to replace you in the minors, especially because the Orioles have a very good farm system. So these guys broke through and they played hard. I don't agree with this premise that there's no pressure just because maybe they're not a championship contender, but every team has their own individual pressures. And I think what the Orioles did, coming together, and obviously they're all fighting for one common purpose to get better, and they've done so. I think that's been really good. Tony?
Well, one of the things that I go to with the pressure point is the Orioles have a guy named Stowers. He has just made his way into the starting lineup, and he had to fight and claw to get there.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Because everybody's producing.
Yep.
All right. Fair point. So, Elliot asked, how do the Orioles feel about Trey Mancini succeeding in helping Houston? What was your initial reaction when Trey Mancini did get traded?
When Mancini and Lopez got traded, I was like, here goes the nosedive. Bautista stepped in and killed the closer role. He's owned it. Santana stepped up. So, I love Trey Mancini, but, I thought it was a mistake that they traded him. I still do. I hope he wins the World Series with Houston. I really do. But I'll never be able to look at him in another uniform.
Yeah, that is tough when somebody that's been around and went through everything that he did. Yeah. I know he was the one guy when we were talking about the different trades to go, at the deadline. He was the one guy that I was hoping that was not moved. I did not want to see him in a different uniform. For everything that he meant to the organization, the fan base, the city, he was the Baltimore Orioles of this era.
Absolutely.
I agree completely. I mean, I've been a big fan of Trey Mancini, and I did not want him moved at all, just purely because of what he went through, and he came back for the Orioles, and he had a really good year last year for the Orioles, and obviously it was a very tough year for Baltimore, but he always showed up and he did his thing, and I really hope that he won the home run derby last year. That's for sure. So I definitely did not want him moved, just in terms of optics.
You guys are Yankee fans, so I'm going to ask you about my favorite Yankee.
Okay.
On the current roster, my favorite Yankee is Anthony Rizzo. I liked him when he was in Chicago. I like him now. Are the Yankees going to re-sign him?
Love the Riz.
One, he's also starting off a phenomenal undefeated managerial career. But Rizzo's one of those guys. We were going back and forth a little bit on whether to bring him back. Either him, and when they brought him back in, I thought that was the key to making that championship run. He's already gotten through the spotlight of getting a World Series with the Cubs. When you survive, when you're able to handle that the way that he did, that's that championship mentality that you need in your clubhouse. So aside from all the talents on the field, it's that mentality to keep everybody grounded and focused on, look, we understand that you haven't had a championship since 2009 and what seems like a lifetime for Yankee fans. Just stay the course. Just trust your ability and push through.
Yeah.
Elite defensively, a leader. He's Judge's best friend. And he's definitely a leader, but his power numbers have shot up. Maybe prior to the injury, I think he was easily going to reach 40. He still can, but he's had such a great year. So what right now his status is, he can opt out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I have to hope that he doesn't opt out, because the Yankees don't have a first baseman in the farm system. In the 40-man, they don't. So you don't want DJ LeMahieu to go and become a first baseman, because It takes away from his skills at third and second. So the Yankees have to hope that Rizzo comes back, because I believe that they're going to be offering Aaron Judge a phenomenal contract. And I doubt that the owner is going to set aside any more money to put serious money into a first baseman in free agency. So Rizzo, hopefully opts in.
I think it's bust.
What's that? Sorry?
I said I think it's Judge or bust.
I agree with that. It's got a lot of comments going on here.
Yep.
Rizzo, a great player, but his recent back issues raise concern for the future. Even now, we don't know how it's impacting his performance or what to expect in the ALDS. Well, with Rizzo's back condition, I don't think he'll opt out. I hope he doesn't. To be fair, since he's come back, his at-bats have looked very good, and his play at first has been flawless. So he's already had a couple of key hits since coming back. So I think he's okay. He's certainly adding key protection to Judge. He's like the only one other than Torres.
No, Peter Angelos is a stingy owner, Tony. How do you feel when the Yankees fans call Hal Steinbrenner cheap when Peter Angelos exceeds him and most owners in his stinginess?
Nobody in Baltimore likes Peter Angelos. Zero people. I think the hatred for Angelos is worse than the Orioles' hatred for the Yankees.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
It truly is. They can't stand it. And never does anything to help the organization.
You know, I mean, does he get any credit for the pace that he's calling up a lot of these younger players to see what they have?
No, because it's the GM doing that. It ain't him.
So he doesn't take any part in anything. He just kind of signs the checks.
Yeah, absolutely. He sits in his office and collects the money.
Well, as long, if they do that and they just stay out of the way and not make compound on problems, that's one thing. But when we get these owners that feel like they're the smartest guys in the room, while they're when they're surrounded by other people that are lifetime baseball guys, that's when you get issues with the ownership and all the criticism and hatred.
Tony, what are your thoughts on the rules going forward in the next year? How do you feel about them? Tats has some strong feelings about them. How do you feel about them?
About the Orioles?
No, about the rules. The rules going forward. The change of rules going into next year.
I don't understand the bigger bases thing. I don't get it, and maybe it's flying over my head. I like the idea of no shift.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I could give a damn about the pitch clock because I love baseball so much. I could watch a 20-hour game.
Mm-hmm.
My man.
I'm with you on that one. Talking about it, the rule changes, my blood pressure just goes up.
All right, so tell me, Tats, what is your strong feelings about it? Because you've not expressed them. What are you upset about?
One, I think having a clock on baseball is just stupid. It should never happen. I don't care. When you staring down, the batter, or you see that the pitcher is in a rhythm, the one thing you want to do is you want to throw them off their game. If I hold the ball on the mound for a few extra seconds to screw up the hitter's timing in a crucial spot, I'll hold it for 25 seconds. I'll hold it for a minute. I don't care. I'm trying to get this guy out. If I have to, whatever I have to do, whatever it takes for me to get him off his game. Same thing with the pitcher, with the batter. If I see that he's just really, he's not even thinking, he's just throwing and he's being effective, I'm going to step out. I'm going to step out of the box 15 times, fix my gloves. Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes in the moment. I'm not going to deny that, but that's just part of the strategy to throw off a guy. All right, so that's my issue with the pitch clock. Okay. Plus, it was the only sport left with no pitch clock. which is why I love the game so much. Because, like Tony said, it doesn't 20-hour game. I'm all for it. I don't care. Same thing with the runner on second. I still can't stand it. The bases. We don't need bigger bases. I understand. We all want to have more offense. Well, how about the hitters just do their job a little better? How about we start really criminalizing the 15 strikeouts a game, and go back to the way it was, where 300 batting average was expected. Only 2 pickoffs before to the runner. I mean, what are we doing here? This is Sunday beer league stuff. What's next? Everybody on the dugout gets in at bat.
I like the changes. I'm excited for the shift. The idea of having like 4 outfielders is just ridiculous, so that needs to stop. Getting legitimate singles being taken away because of having a million people in the outfield. So I'm definitely on board with that. That might actually increase contact hitting. Now, it doesn't take away the fact that no one was changing their approach during the shift, but still, that needed to change. Also, far too many times where they went off the mound and then through to first or whatever, just to take the hitter's timing away. I mean, you also have to think about the families in the stands. If they're 4, 5, 6 hour games, it's not good. It cuts down, cut down commercials, but also, I mean, there's people in the stands that are, that maybe have work in the morning or whatever, and if you've got 4 or 5 hour games just purely because your pitchers are taking forever just to throw a freaking pitch, I don't see that as any benefit. You'll attract more viewers by having a quicker pace of game. You will. If you want baseball to translate to the modern era with football and basketball where it's high speed, high action, you also want to attract the younger viewer. And the younger viewer is not going to be attracted to people that take 6 hours to throw a pitch. And we've seen that numerous times. I think it was the Brewers game where it was 9 innings, but it was like almost 5 hours. And it was just purely because everyone took forever just to throw a pitch. So I'm all for speeding up the game. And so is my man Rob here. Speed up the game. Exactly. Rob is on my wavelength here. Definitely speed it up, not slow it down. It's boring. We've got lives to live. Let's get on with it.
No, so let me.
You can save about half an hour of gameplay just by cutting down on the timeouts and throwing to first base.
I want a 19-hour marathon.
Yep. But let me ask you guys a question, okay? As far as with the clock and the bigger bases, they want to increase, the possibility of stealing. When you have a pitcher like Cole that you are paying the amount of money to, or Scherzer, where you have, these huge contracts for a specific, like a quarterback, and you have a guy that you can't shift on that always hits the one side of the field, right? Or you have a runner on that's going to steal bases a lot, like a Jorge Mateo. You're paying these guys so much money to make that pitch, and what's going to happen to all? What are we going to be saying on all these podcasts and talk shows when their ERAs are so inflated? That we're saying, is it going to hurt?
Why would their ERAs be inflated?
Because they want to increase the offense. This is all to make the games. They want more scoring. So what are we going to say to all these pitchers that are getting these top dollars when they end up with a 4, 5, or 6 ERA because of all these changes?
That's an excellent point. I'm with you all the way on that.
I think that's a huge jump.
So Cole next year has a 5 ERA because of the shift and all the stolen bases, runs scored, and we're still going to call him an ace. Come on.
I think that's a huge jump. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing you could possibly do in sports. So good pitching always beats good hitting. So there will always be room for great pitching, and it'll always beat great hitting. It's just that's just how baseball's always been. So that's not going to change. But quickening the pace isn't going to hurt anything. Donald, do I think the rules should apply to playoff games as well? Yep. Call the letter high strike and games will be faster. Yep. I don't like the clock idea, but the reports I've read seem encouraging. Seems like it'll improve the game. I think it will too. I mean, I've seen indications that it would quicken the pace by half an hour.
Look, I do think it's fair to say that my point, the way I'm looking at it is the minority look. There are not a lot of people that are frustrated like I am about it.
You just have to approach it from a business aspect.
I'm not going to spend $20 million on a pitcher if he's not going to be able to have, if his ERA and all these runs are going to be able to score.
Well, for the consumer wants to see. This is a new era, man. This is about instant gratification, whether you like it or not. That's the truth. And the younger generation has been less inclined to watch baseball because the games take forever. You don't even know when that pitch is going to. Sometimes pitchers take a minute, 2 minutes just to throw a pitch. That has to stop, man.
At least the old people agree with me. But it's. I don't know. I'm hoping that once you see it in effect, it will change. Because I don't want to not enjoy the game like I have. That's my worry. Is I'm going to be like, I don't recognize this.
Yeah. Not to change the subject though, but tonight you get to run into an old friend, Jorge Mateo.
I do like that kid. But back to the game tonight. Give that a few minutes. But no, Jorge has. I think he's had a very under the radar season. That he's really produced very well.
I think he still leads the league in stolen bases.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for the rest of the year, Tony?
I just want to win 2 more games.
2 more.
2 more games. 500 year period.
Your line cut out there. Could you repeat that?
2 more games and we're over 500 for the year period.
Yeah. Tony, yes or no, Orioles make the playoffs?
If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, no.
Now, no. Yeah. It'd be tough. So, but do you actually think they can make the playoffs next year?
100%.
100%. Saw your line's cutting out there, man, but okay, 100%. That's awesome.
No, it's. I think they're, like I said earlier. I think they're a wild card lock. They look that good.
So, Tony, tell us about your history with the Orioles. How long have you been a fan for, etc. What got you into them?
Well, my whole family are Orioles fans. 1983. Basically, a lot of you know who my brother is. My brother is a former major league player.
Yep.
And we all hate the Orioles. I mean, we all hate the Yankees.
We all hate the Yankees.
We all hate the Yankees ever since we were little.
Does Tony Clark hate the Yankees?
Not anymore. But not anymore. But in 1988, my brother signed with the New York Yankees.
I know.
My whole didn't talk to him for weeks.
So who was your favorite player growing up? Was it Cal Ripken?
When I was a real little kid, my favorite player was Fred Lynn.
Right.
I was real Fred Lynn. And Then 1992, I met Jeff Bagwell, and it was history.
Oh, of course, you're a big Jeff Bagwell guy. Now, why Jeff Bagwell? Is it
Any guy who can hit 450 home runs, looking like he's taking a dump on a toilet.
Spencer? Forgive me. Who is Tony's brother?
Jack Clark.
So, what free agent do you think the Orioles should go after first? Who should be their priority?
That's interesting. They offered Correa a contract last year. They
Really?
offered
Yes.
$100 million. Did they offer Correa another contract again?
Wow.
I'm still hoping that Correa goes to the Yankees, but I don't think it'll happen.
Correa and Turner, one of them will be an Oriole, and one of them will be a Yankee.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Right. Okay. We got to write that down. Tats.
Yep.
Use that big noggin of yours and remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My memory is sharp. I never forget anything. You're trusting my memory? Come on. You know.
I know that was a. I mean, this is the guy that spelled Maris wrong, Tony. He spelled Maris with 2 R's yesterday and posted it on YouTube.
Wow.
Alex contacted me. He's like, "You do know that your co-host just spelled Maris wrong."
Thanks for bringing that up.
I was like, "Oh no, here he goes again."
Wow.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite as bad as not knowing what the Orioles record was like a week ago.
That was pretty bad today.
I want to know Tony's reaction. What was your reaction when you were watching this and Tony Tats was getting it all wrong with the Orioles?
I'm just surprised that
believe me, I was just as surprised, embarrassed, and humiliated.
I was shocked. I was like, who doesn't know how good the Orioles are doing?
It's the big guy over here.
Yep.
So Jack Clark hit a home run in a 1988 game versus the Tigers. Yankees won 4-3 on a Claudel walk-off home run. Sadly, Claudel passed away in Jr. Wow. Claudel Washington. Sounds like a military general. That's awesome, man. That's good. It's some good history right there. 1988. Do you remember that, Tony?
Yeah, the first foul ball I ever got, the first foul ball I ever got was at the old Yankee Stadium in 1988.
Nice.
And it was actually hit by Cecil Fielder.
Cecil Fielder?
Yeah.
I love the old stadium. That old stadium just had so much character and history.
Yeah.
When it got loud, the whole place rocked. It was just something. It was just something that's really special. It was like you're part of something greater than yourself when you were at the old stadium. What do you think in comparison? Have you been to the new stadium, Tony?
Not been to the new stadium, and I have no plans to go.
Oh,
Wow.
It's still good, man. It's just not the old one.
No.
If you're an Oriole fan, it's like walking into World War III.
Wow. I didn't realize how much you hated the Yankees. I thought you were partial to us.
I respect them as an organization. I have a jersey for every major team. The only jersey I do not have is a Yankee jersey because I will not allow it in my house.
Well, I can fix that for you. I got a ton of them. I can send one to you.
But Listen, Tony, we're hoping that we can enjoy a really good series this weekend with the Orioles. I think it's going to be competitive. They've been putting a lot of runs up.
What's your prediction? Do you think they'll win 2 out of 3, or do you think the Yankees will win 2 out of 3?
The way the Orioles pitching is so exhausted right now, being the end of the year, I would love to see the Orioles win 2 out of 3, but I think the Yankees take 2 out of 3.
I just not sure what the Yankees have to play for. They've already won the division, so there's a good chance that the Orioles probably might win it, but I don't know. It depends on what kind of lineup the Yankees send out. Yeah. Final, before you go, predictions for the end of the year.
What do you mean?
For the end of the year, who's going to win the World Series?
Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow. That's a team I have not heard in the discussion. Why the Jays?
The Toronto Blue Jays have the most solid lineup 1 through 9.
I could agree with that.
Just don't see. I see them as the only team that can beat Houston, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, because everything's going to go through Houston. That's the way it's been, unfortunately. But the Jays, I don't think that's a bad prediction at all.
I don't think the Jays have the pitching or the defense. The shortstop is an absolute disaster over there. Bo Bichette can't field.
Bo Bichette is worse than IKF.
Oh, dude, he's worse than me. Like, he can't field. Like, it's legit. Like, how many errors ago? Like 30? That's crazy. So I don't think that they've got the defense or the pitching, but their offense is legit. I just think that good pitching and good defense will overcome them. But I think they'll be stronger next year. But I've been saying about the Blue Jays for a number of years now. So whenever they turn it on, will be welcomed. I can't look past the Dodgers, but I think the Braves are good too.
Well, I also said Toronto because at the beginning of the year on Big Blue podcast, I predicted the Blue Jays over the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't take for granted the momentum with the wild card series. When you don't have the days off like you normally, you're playing every day. So when you're the wild card team, you just keep that momentum going. That's why I think you see a lot of wild card teams go deeper into the playoffs than they're expected to.
Absolutely.
But listen, Tony, I really appreciate you coming on with us. You have got to come back again during the off season to go over some free agency moves, some predictions. So I hope you'll do that. And you have been watching the Pinstripe Chronicles on Northeast Streaming Sports, listening on SportsWire Radio. Thank you for everybody in the comments. Elliot, Nick, as always, glad to have you along. And wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.